First thing you should be considering is physical activity. No one's expecting you to launch a new sports career to challenge Kelly Slater. Ditch the news. Sitting around banging on about your portfolio. Fortunately, there's an alcohol alternative that's recently available on the market, and of course, that's Kava. Hey folks, Cam here from Australia Kava Shop. If you don't know us, we're Australia's leading online kava vendor with over 17 years experience in the kava industry. Some might say we know our roots. Right, so today I want to have a chat to you gentlemen who are 50 or thereabouts, either side's okay, about ways to help and improve your general physical and mental wellness. Men's physical and mental wellness is not something I gave a lot of thought of up until COVID hit. And during that COVID period, I ate and drank the house down for about 2 years. It reached a stage where after a pretty confronting visit to my GP, thanks Dr. Gray, you legend, that I started to take physical and mental wellness a little bit more seriously than I had previously. Alright, so let's get into a few things that'll help you keep you sharp in your over 50s and see how Kava can fit into that mix. Now, as if I wasn't going to be talking about this, of course the first thing you should be considering is physical activity. If you're 50 or thereabouts, it's likely you saw the Life Be In It ads when you were a kid. As kids, we learned quickly that regular exercise, such as strength training and aerobic activity, can help maintain health and increase flexibility. Like, let's get serious about this. If you're not engaging in some sort of physical activity, and it doesn't have to be heavily strenuous stuff, but something, 30 minutes a day, you're kidding yourself. Now look, no one's expecting you to launch a new sports career to challenge Kelly Slater or to take up boxing and beat Bernard Hopkins' record as the oldest world champ in history. It's simply about finding something enjoyable that you can do to keep active. Now look, a lot of us use lingering injuries or niggling injuries as a reason not to get out there and exercise. And I get that, right? Like, I've got osteopatellar myself, but I call on about 90% of that. If you're honest with yourself, you're probably using that as an excuse to not get off the couch. If you're seriously concerned about an injury that you've got that's impeding you from exercise, go and have a chat with your doc or your physio. Guaranteed they'll have an exercise routine they can put together for you. Now let's shift focus from physical wellness over to mental wellness. For us Gen Xers living in this pretty comfortable Western society that we live in, it's almost expected that our senses get a little bit dulled. If you're serious about upping your mental wellness game, here are a few key pointers you can look at. This is a big one for a lot of us, right? Unless you are actively looking at seeking public office or you want to go and mediate some world conflict, ditch the news. You might not get this yet. Hell, it took me 52 years to land here as well, but there's almost nothing that you can do to change the things happening in politics, nor can you change things going off in the various hotspots around the world. Consuming news content and getting riled up over some political or ideological debate or about which hotspot is blowing up again is simply a waste of your time and mental energy. Watching and engaging with news is simply just wasting a time that we're running out of as 50-year-olds, right? Now, some people are going to say, like, that's a head in the sand approach. I'm going to say to you, as a 50-year-old or thereabouts, you've probably got a pretty good grasp on how the world works already, and you don't need to be constantly watching the news to be updated about it. So what do you do if you aren't watching the news? What do you do to keep your brain ticking over? I'd recommend getting down to your library and getting some books out. Now also, whilst not my cup of tea, my good mate Stu swears by doing puzzles and quizzes to keep his mind active and sharp. Another way of staying sharp is getting involved in social and community activities. Now let's be clear here, I'm not talking about your leagues club, your yacht club, your golf club or whatever. I'm talking about true community activity. Sitting around banging on about your portfolio, your handicap, your latest boat acquisition, your last round of footy or the jackpot you nailed. That's what tired old do. Sorry if I'm getting a little bit animated there, but look, what I'm talking about here is getting engaged in community and social groups and even charity groups, right? So you're actively participating with people outside of your clique. Giving back to the community or doing charity work is awesome, obviously, for them. Plus, it gives us a sense of belonging and helps combat isolation and often breaks us away from tired old thinking and gives us a fresh mental reset. Now, you would have known this one's coming as well, just like the physical activity. If you're over 50, you got to start considering either getting booze completely out of your life or seriously reducing its intake. Quitting alcohol, like, it's a tough challenge, right? We get it. But it comes with some amazing health benefits. We've done a bunch of videos on it. You can see them in the links below. Not wanting to get it all nostalgic again for Life Be In It, but I'm sure you remember the lead character, Norm. Remember how he used to cop flack from his hot missus for drinking too much? Well, they weren't wrong. Booze, as you know, stacks on heaps of weight. It's likely going to stop you from exercising. What was going on with that Life Be In It campaign too? Like, Norm, who's this absolute couch slob, he's sitting there and his wife's berating him, and his wife's this hot aerobic instructor type with the old 1980s leggings on and all that stuff. It never really made much sense to me. Anyway, look, anecdotally, right, When I was back in Vanuatu, was that December, so 3 or so months ago, caught up with a few mates, and 2 of which had quit alcohol altogether. On your Sonny, on your Kel, both of you looked about 10 years younger for it. Right now I get it, for most of you guys, quitting alcohol is probably going to be the most challenging part of what we've discussed so far. Fortunately, there's an alcohol alternative that's recently available on the market, and of course that's Kava. If you don't know about Kava, it's a pepper root that's grown in the South Pacific. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about it now. There's a heap of links below that cover the background and history of Kava. Kava's really famous for its relaxing and social tonic benefits. Now, us in the West took a few thousand years to pick up on it, but we're starting to get an understanding of just how good it is as a social tonic. Now, look, most of us crack a beer or wine, or scotch or whatever at the end of a long day. Fortunately, Kava sits right into that end of the day chill out zone. Having a few shells of Kava, either on your own or with your friends or with your partner, is an ideal way to enjoy a social occasion and indeed just unwind at the end of the day. Kava gives you a really nice social euphoric buzz. I guess, you know, similar to alcohol a little bit in that regards. But the difference is it doesn't kick you in the arse the next day. Those Australians who have swapped Kava out for alcohol are saying that they are up earlier and feeling fresher due to better sleep. Plus, kicking off some early exercise is a whole lot easier when you've had a solid night's sleep and haven't got a banging hangover. Now look, the other benefit of swapping out alcohol for Kava is that Kava's an anti-inflammatory. As we hit our 50s, and probably even earlier, we're really starting to notice the aches and pains, even if you aren't exercising. Now, if you add alcohol to the mix, which acts as an inflammatory agent to your body, it's likely you're going to be popping Voltarens like they're Tic Tacs. When you make that switch from alcohol over to Kava and you start taking in that anti-inflammatory component and removing the inflammatory component of alcohol, couple that with exercising, I swear to you, your body, you won't know it, right? You feel considerably better and younger for it. Anecdotally, right? I mean, shit, I might not look it, but I feel way better than I did when I was 40. I'm surfing or I'm boxing every morning, and I'm positive that a large part of this is the anti-inflammatory nature of Kava. All right, thanks for hanging in there with us. So to recap, if you're in that 50s or above or thereabouts age group, look at physical activities as a must, right? Mental stimulus, getting engaged with community outside of your normal clique, another must, and kicking out alcohol to the curb, essential. And if you're chasing a social tonic to replace alcohol, I can highly recommend you give Kava some consideration. Reach out to Savannah and I and the team at Australia Kava Shop. We'll be happy to help you with your Kava journey. All right, Ballas, have a ripper day.
We know our roots.